Stop. If you're about to take iron for anemia fatigue, don't do it. Hi, I'm Dr. Arland Hill, and I'm here to share with you today why if you're struggling with anemia fatigue or fatigue related to anemia, why taking iron may be the completely wrong option for you, and maybe better yet, where you should focus your attention. So, what is anemia fatigue in the first place? That's what you need to understand. Anemia fatigue is going to be when your red blood cells aren't sufficient. Now, red blood cells are going to be the cells that carry oxygen throughout the body. And when you have an anemia, red blood cells are inadequate. There's just not enough of them around. Now, you can have also anemias where it's not just about the number of the red blood cells, it's also about the quality of the red blood cells, which means that you're not going to be able to provide energy efficiently to the body like you're supposed to, either when there's not enough of those cells available or when there's not going to be the right type or a well-formed red blood cell. Either way, you're not delivering oxygen efficiently, which means you're going to still be struggling with energy problems and fatigue. Now, Here's where the whole thing goes the wrong direction. And these are some points I want you to really focus on here right before I show you where you need to follow up at. Now, the first thing is that, and this is something I see very often, is that many people struggle with anemia fatigue, but they've been told that they don't even have an anemia. And sometimes I'll look at these reports and think, oh my gosh, you've got a blaring anemia. Why is no one following up on this with you? So just because you've been told that you don't have an anemia, don't automatically take that at face value. You may still be struggling with what are known as functional or marginal anemias that many times can feel just as problematic as a full-blown anemia. So you need to find the support that is going to be best for you. The wrong options, when I say wrong options here, what I mean is that not all anemias are iron deficiency anemias. I can't stress that point enough. And even the anemias that are iron deficiency anemias sometimes don't need iron supplementation. So for example, there's several different types of anemias. You could be struggling with anemias where there's just not enough red blood cells, the cells are too large, the cells are too small, and all of those require different types of interventions because they have different causes. So we want to make sure that you're on the right track and that you're not trying to use the wrong options to support your health. The next thing is you could be using a bad form. So for example, let's say that you're using iron. Not all irons are made the same. Many irons are going to cause distress to your gastrointestinal tract. They can cause irritability. It can cause constipation. And it honestly prevents a lot of people that really do need iron from actually getting the benefit of that iron because it's just not the right form for them. There are really good forms out there, but you have to know what they are. For example, there's a form called iron bisglycinate. If you've got to take iron, that's really the form of iron that you want to use because that's the one that's not going to cause GI distress. It's not going to cause constipation. Most people do really well with it and it's highly absorbed. And the nice thing is that because it's highly absorbed, you're going to be able to use much lower dosages than what you typically see being recommended with other forms of iron. Now, here's the big thing that I wanted to get to. This is the exclamation point in this video, and that's going to be gut infections. If you're struggling with an iron anemia and you know for a fact that you've got an iron anemia, and you know that you don't have bleed, you don't have blood loss somewhere, and you're getting adequate iron in your diet, if you've ruled out all of those things and you're still struggling with adequate iron, you've got to look for a gut infection. And specifically, you've got to start looking for pathogens. And pathogens can be viruses, they can be bacteria, they can be parasites, they can be any of those three categories. And what's significant about these organisms is that these pathogens, these are always bad. There's never a good pathogen, and just when you think about the name pathogen, nothing positive comes to mind about that. So pathogens are important to eliminate because these pathogens are ultimately what are going to harbor up and sequester this iron. They're going to create inflammation in there, and they're going to make it difficult for you to assimilate that iron like you need to. The next thing is going to be what's known as H. pylori. Some people refer to this as Helicobacter pylori, H. pylori for short. And this is a bacteria that's normally found in the stomach, But the problem is that this guy can actually start to be problematic. And when it becomes problematic, it begins to interfere with the cells in your stomach that help you absorb iron. They produce a protein structure that helps bind to iron and makes it absorbable in the body. And so if this H. pylori is rearing its ugly head, you're going to struggle with iron uptake. So these all inhibit the ability for you to efficiently utilize iron. So here's what I'm going to stress to you. Before you start taking iron, before you go down that road and not get the full benefit of taking the iron, you need to ask some questions. The first of which is, why do I have an iron deficiency? And second is this iron deficiency related to a pathogen or some other type of infection in my stomach that I need to know about? If it is, you can assess these things with stool tests. Listen, guys, if you like the information that I've shared here with you, give it a thumbs up. Help get it out there to other people so they can benefit from it as well. And if you thought you gained good benefit from it, share it. Let other people know what they should be focusing on when they're struggling with fatigue. Make sure you check out the website, drarlandhill.com, where you're going to find a ton of information on functional medicine and nutrition, and just maybe find an answer to some of the health problems you've been struggling with. Thanks for listening, guys. Talk to you soon.